Hi, today on Catherine Learns Stuff, I'm going to walk you through how to make these beautiful Gerbera flowers. So let's jump in. To make the Gerbera flowers that I've just pulled out some brown, purple, and green paper that I have. I've got some metal flower stems and my glue, and you can use different colors. I've picked out purple, but you can do, as an example, you could use 2 different shades of purple if you wanted, or you can do pinks, as I'll show you throughout the video. But for the most part of the example, I'm just going to be working with purple. So I'm quickly going to walk you through how to get access to the file for my Gerbera Daisies. So this is the blog post here. If you go to catherinelearnstuff.com, currently it's at the top of the screen because I just posted it, but you can go back and look for it if you go into my search menu and just type in flowers or Gerbera Daisy, it'll show up as well. But if you want to access the file, you can go into my shop, click on the shop button, and it'll take you to my shop here, and you can actually come into here and you can buy this flower. So once you buy the flower, I'll send you the file and you can download it into your files. So what you're going to need to do from there is you're going to need to open Cricut Design Space, and the file comes as a zip file, so you will need to unzip it, and we're going to just click upload here. We're going to select our upload image button, and then we're going to click and drag over our Gerbera Daisy file. So this is the file here. We're going to make sure that we select cut image. You may have print and cut option. You shouldn't, but if it's there, make sure you click the cut image option. You've got the name here of the file. You can add optional tags if you would like, and then we're going to simply select upload. Now that it's in our projects and in our files, we're just going to make sure that we select the file so it's got our green box around it, and we're going to add it to our canvas. When this file comes into Cricut Design Space, you will probably have it set to about just under 8 inches by 12 inches. If that's not the dimensions, we can drag this corner and make it larger or smaller if we'd like. But what you want to do is when we're making these flowers, you want to make sure that the biggest flower's petals is about 4.5 to 5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my ungroup button here and ungroup this, and I'm going to select my big flower here and move it over to the side. So you'll notice that I've got it at 4.56 inches by 4.48 inches. That's a good size. You can make them bigger if you'd like to, about 5 inches, but remember, these flowers are fairly big in real life, so this is about the right size of a real Gerbera daisy. You can make them bigger or smaller if you'd like. So if you want to make them bigger or smaller, what I recommend is you select all of the pieces of the design, and then you either stretch it bigger or smaller, or you modify the dimensions here in the size and make sure that you've got your lock dimensions on. If you don't want to make any changes, you can quickly just select the makeup button. And also just something to keep in mind, I've got this currently set up to be a 1-color flower. If you want to change the smaller petals or the center into different colors, this is the best time to do it before you send it off to be cut on your machine. So once you're happy with the size and the colors, all you need to do is select Make It, and then send it to your Cricut to be cut out. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over to our workstation and start assembling this. For the Gerbera flowers that I've made, I've got 5 different petal sizes, so extra large, large, medium, small, and extra small. And each size has 2 sets of petals, so they've got 2 individual sets. I've also got a little purple center, I've got a brown center which will roll, 6 leaves, and a backing piece. Now, as I mentioned while we were going through Cricut Design Space, you don't need to cut out 6 leaves if you don't want to, but you can just to add more color and life to your flowers. So let's jump over and start putting this together. When I'm making this flower, what I want to do is I want to start with the big pieces and then work my way down onto the smaller pieces. So each piece gets glued onto itself. So you've got the 2 extra large pieces get glued together, and we want to sort of offset them like this when we're gluing them, so that they fill in the gaps. Now, as we get farther into gluing, it'll be easier to hide all the gaps because they're going to be hidden by all the other petals. Now, this circle here in the center is only there so that you can align the center. So that's it. There's no other reason for it. It's not for putting the stem through. It just sort of helps you figure out where the center of this flower is, so that when you're
putting all these pieces on, you can kind of center them up. And we're trying to stay a little bit offset. Got to make sure that we're following the sizes we're supposed to, because we do not want to put the wrong order in here. Now I like to put a little purple dot on the center. This is going to help me a little bit with my placement of my center bit, but it also gives me a little bit more space for that as well. So I've got my brown centerpiece now, and I'm just going to roll it. I'm going to roll it loosely because I find that loose rolls look better, and we don't need to have a super big one. Now when you're making these rolls, you can use like a dowel, or you can use the metal stem that we're going to use for the flower to help you roll this, but I find that just doing it by hand is okay as well. This doesn't need to be super tight, it just needs to be rolled. Alright, and now I'm going to glue up to this spot along some of these paper bottoms, and I'm going to glue here so that we've got a good amount of glue everywhere so that this will stick. Now I don't like to use my glue gun for this part because I'm really good at burning my fingers with my glue gun when I do small activities, so we're just going to let that dry like that. Now when I was cutting these out, I decided to switch up some purples and some pinks. They're complementary colors, and sort of in the real world they do have sort of a different blend. You could use different shades, so go from darker pink to lighter pink, or from purples, or even use different colors. These are the colors that I like to use. I just thought I'd show you here the options of, you know, adding in a different color. Before I glue this guy onto my stem, it's really flat right now, and that's just because I find that when we're gluing this all together, it's really nice to have it flat because it glues better. But now that we've got the flower sort of done and ready, I'm going to pull the back pieces down, and then these little ones I'm going to pull forwards. I'm going to give this flower a little bit more life. Now, I'm just using my fingers, but you can use like a pen to get a little bit more of a curl if you'd like. And I'm going to give these guys a little bit more of a backward look, and now it's got a little bit more life to it. So just to compare, you've got really flat and kind of more alive, right? And you can massage the petals any way you would like. Each one of our Gerberas has 3 leaves for it and a stem. So we just want to quickly glue on the leaves onto our stem. They don't need to be evenly distributed or far apart spaced. We just kind of want to give them a little dab of glue so that we can roll them on. Now the farther you go down, the smaller the vase you'll be able to use, or the leaves will be a little bit stuck in the vase, and that's okay. Just want to glue them on into a spot. I like to have them kind of in different directions so that they look a little bit more 3D. Kind of like so, maybe. And now I'm simply going to put my petal onto here at the back with glue, my stem with glue. Now what I've done with these flowers is I've actually designed a little stem cover that you can put over your stem here so that it hides the glue, and you can put that down before your glue completely dries, and then it'll sort of stay there. And you don't need to do that. I've got it there in case you don't want it to look ugly in the background, but it's totally your choice. So I'm quickly going to complete the rest of my Gerberas, and we'll put them into a vase in a moment and have them ready for gift giving or for display. So something I hate is when I'm cutting things up with my Cricut and this happens. It cuts off. I put my paper down a little bit too close, or I tried to save too much paper. So it happened a few times on this one flower here. And so I don't like to recut this stuff, and I don't want to waste this, but I've got a few pieces. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull out my scissors, and I'm going to reuse these, and I'm going to make them work because I don't need to lose them. But I'm going to just cut these edges and make them less square and make them a little bit rounder so that I can just reuse them in my flower. And I'll show you in a second, but they're not going to kind of get wasted. Right now my cutting abilities on camera are terrible, but I've got a few here, and since this flower has kind of a whole bunch of petals and it's a repeating pattern for the most part, and in real life flowers don't really have total symmetry and total perfection, we're just going to cut these sort of the best that we can without totally ruining the flower. Okay, oh, I gotta do this one as well. They don't look perfect, and that's fine. It's not about perfection. It's about the art of it, right? So, some here. Now when I'm doing this, so they don't look perfect, but they are cut a little bit. But what's gonna happen is, and I'll show you the final product when I'm done with this, but when I'm placing these down, this is gonna go on the bottom, and they're gonna be offset. And this one is gonna go here next. And then I'm going to make sure that the other one that has the other short side is going to go kind of opposite of it so that it blends in right there. So now you can't really tell already that it's an issue. I'm going to put my other flowers on top. And that problem that we had there is actually turning into an invisible issue. Now this third one that I've got, again, I'm going to try to put it in a spot away from where the other two were just to hide it a little bit better. We don't want to have too many short petals in one area. And I'm going to put those ones there, and then I'll put these ones on top. And when I'm done, I'm going to actually glue this and I'll show you what it looks like. But right now, just based off of placing this together the way that it is, you're not actually noticing that there's missing petals. So we don't need to recut any petals that get broken or missing pieces, just so that we don't lose that. So I'll show you the final product next with this. Okay, so here we have the pink flower. I've got two here just to trick you, but you can barely tell which one has the imperfections in it based off of just the two sitting next to each other. This is the one that has the few cut edges right here. You can see one of them and here, but overall you can't really tell, so it's not worth wasting a flower for in order to get redoing the petals. With this purple flower I'm missing a petal, and I could cut this out again, but this is a 4.5 or 5-inch petal, and I don't really want to waste one whole sheet of paper for one sort of petal. So I'm just going to quickly show you, and I'll show you the final product again later, but when you start to place these on top of each other and you have a lot of different pieces, that one missing petal isn't actually going to show up. You're not going to notice that it's missing. So even now with just 4 layers, you can barely tell that there's a missing petal there. So I'll show you the final product with the missing petal when I glue it all together next, but you're not going to see a difference here. So there's no point wasting paper or starting a new flower cut just for a missing petal. It will blend in and you won't notice it. Now here I've got 2 purple flowers. The one on the left here is the one that was missing the petal, but by first glance or a quick glance, it's hard to tell where it is. But if I flip it over, you'll see that it's missing right here, so it's kind of in this spot here. But it's not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker. I don't think it's worth having to cut out another whole petal and waste a whole sheet of paper for that, because I've cut these out to maximize my paper and waste as little as possible. So in real life, these flowers are actually on a really thick stem, and so this time I bought some smaller stems, just that's what I had. What came through on Amazon. I thought they were thicker. So I've got 2 different types of stems here. I've got a thicker one and a thinner one. They both look very nice, but the actual flower has a thicker one, and working with the thicker stems I found was a lot easier. So I recommend the thicker stems. They just seem to work better for me, but the thin ones also work very nicely. But you can have either or, and they both turn out with beautiful flowers. So all that's left to do is to put these beautiful flowers into a vase. I hope you've enjoyed this craft. I've listed all the products that I've used in the description below. If you go to my website, which I've listed a link to below as well, you can get a copy of this SVG file to make these Gerbera flowers yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.